One time, there's a boy in 5th grade, his name was Scheller, and this boy had ADHD, what's called attention deficit. Hey, donuts! He couldn't focus on anything the Rabbi was saying. It sounded like Chinese, and there's only one thing he could think about was basketball. He loved basketball, and one basketball player in particular, whose name was Michael Jordan. He just loved Michael Jordan. Something about Michael Jordan inspired him, and he would do very bad on his tests, very bad in schoolwork. He was like considered a troublemaker only because he was bored and there was nothing else to do besides flick spitballs. So one day his father, who's a businessman, said, "You know what? How would you like to see Michael Jordan play live in Times Square in Madison Square Garden?" And Shalom said, "Absolutely. What's the question?" So his father said, "If you could get a 90 on every test for 6 months in a row, I'll take you to see Michael Jordan." So he said, "Okay, deal." But his father said, "Maybe think about it because you never got a 90 yet." He was getting 30s and 40s. Maybe think about it. He said, "No, I'm going to go to the game." So he goes to school. He comes 5 minutes early, takes out his notebook, and he's listening to what the Rabbi is saying, but Michael Jordan at the three-point line, and he can't focus. So at the end of the day, he didn't get anything, but he said, "I have to see Michael Jordan." So he calls the top kids in the class. He says, "Listen, what did Rabbi teach us today? Tell me something." So the kid would tell him, Rabbi did this Rashi like 4 times, and we did this piece of Gemara. The next day, the same thing, he tried to focus, but his mind was just wandering. But he'd call the kids after school, "Please tell me, what did Rabbi do?" But then it was Monday, the test day, and he was so nervous, and the night before the test, he called the best kids in the class, and he said, "Tell me, what's Rabbi going to ask on the test?" And kids told him, and he got the test back, and he got 91. Boom! He shows it to his father. His father says, "Great, another 5 months and 3 weeks to go." And so the next week, he did the same thing. He knew already how to do it, focus, and ask the best kids in the class. Next test, 94. 92, 98, 87. He said 87 is almost 90. He shows it to his father. His father says, "Deal is off." He says, "Come on," but he checks, and like the Rebbe forgot to mark one question, half of it. He gave it back to his Rebbe, 91. He got 90s for 6 months in a row. His father said, "Okay, I'll take you to the game." So it was March 8th, and he puts on his favorite Michael Jordan t-shirt, and his father takes him to the game. They get tickets outside, and they go into Madison Square Garden, and his heart is pumping with adrenaline. He sees the court and the basketball players, and he gives him his ticket, and the guy gives it to, says, hey, get back here. He says, "What's the matter?" He says, "Sir, your ticket is fake. Please get out of here." And he says, "What are you talking about? We just bought it right outside." He said, "Sir, tickets for this game were sold out 6 months ago. You just got fake tickets. Please exit the building." And Shalom couldn't believe it. His father says, "Listen, I'll take you to a restaurant. We'll watch the game." And Shalom said, "No, I just want to go back home." He's in tears. He goes back to his room and he goes to sleep. He cries himself to sleep. And I know the story is true because my name is Eliyahu Shalom. And that was my role model, Michael Jordan. And I was crushed. And I went back to school and I went back to 30s and 40s straight through 12th grade. Straight through, and I was just kicked out of 10 schools and kicked out of 10 camps, and that's my story. But I ended up in Israel when I was like 17, and it's my son listening to everything, but when I was 17, my father said, "Okay, like, you're not doing anything in America, why don't you just go to Israel, and magic happens in Israel." So I said, "Great, let's go to Israel, and I'll have a great time in Israel." So I went to Israel, and I was just having fun, and then what happened was my father said, "You know what, just stay in Israel for Pesach. Where are you going to come back home and get into trouble and bad things will happen? Just stay in Israel for Pesach." So I had a friend of mine who said, "You know what, I'm going to be in Israel for Pesach and we'll travel Israel. We'll go to Eilat for a week. I have my brother's credit card who's very wealthy and we'll have the time of our lives." So I called my father and I said, "Okay, I'll stay in Israel for Pesach." So it was 2 days before Pesach, and my friend calls me, and he says, "It's not going to work out. My brother, whatever, I was supposed to come back to Israel. I'm going to stay back in America." So here I am in Israel, the first time in my life, by myself. No one else was in yeshiva, and I was there by myself. And inside of me, I always felt that a yearning for greatness. I felt something that Michael Jordan inspired me to, something of greatness, but it never expressed myself in my adult life. I was always failing everywhere. I always, Scheller, get out of here. I was always getting kicked out of places. And I said to myself, if I ever want to be great, now is the time. I was just by myself in Israel, and I just cried, and I just started taking out an art scroll Gemara and started learning, and slowly but surely I started changing, and people looked at me differently. And then I went to one yeshiva to the next, and I made a commitment right then when I was 19 that I just want to grow and be great, and I just want to maximize my potential. And Baruch Hashem, as the years went on, I'm still on that quest to just try to reach greatness. So over the years, I recognized a lot of things that I've seen in my life, things that helped make change, and that's what I want to share with you today. Does that make sense? So,
does everyone hear that?
So,
What yeshivas was there?
what?
What yeshivas did you go to in the United States?
In Brooklyn, I went to. In Israel, I started out in a small yeshiva called Shari Tfuna, and then I went to Lakewood East, and then most recently I was by Rabbi Yitzchak Berkowitz. Rabbi Yitzchak Berkowitz is called for 4 years. That's where I really got my hashkafa. He's the one that once I went there, then I got it. I'm like, wow, Yiddishkeit is amazing. And as a kid, I despised Yiddishkeit. I ran away from it. I didn't want it. It was something that was my role models were all sports players. I didn't have anyone around me that I wanted to be like. And then once I was older and I said, wow, Yiddishkeit is amazing. Why can't we teach this to kids in a way that they could be full of fire? And then I was doing kiruv in Los Angeles, but then Hashem guided me to teach kids. And it was just an accident. Somebody asked me to substitute a class. And I said, I'll only come in if I could bring in my guitar. And I walked into the class and the kids were just throwing things on me because I was a substitute. So you have a green light to do whatever you want. So I just waited for it to get a little quieter. And I said, boys, can I take out my guitar? They're like, okay. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was going to play a song. And they're just waiting. I said, one time. It just came out of my mouth. And slowly they all just sat down. And I said, okay, I got to continue. And I just kept saying a story. And I saw it was powerful. And I saw the way to get to kids is through stories. So my idea is really to teach. I try to teach kids everything that I've grown in my life. I do it through stories. When you want to give medicine to a kid, you put some sweet things around it. I do it through stories, and I try to get it in there. So what I came up with, and this is the class today, what I, after much research and contemplation, I realized that there's 7 things in our life. I call it the inner game, because whether you like it or not, you're part of a game. And there's 7 things inside of you that are constantly pulling you or getting you closer to your goal. Everyone has a goal. Everyone has a vision of, I want to get here. Like a circle, and in the middle of the circle there's a dot. And I printed out a paper for everybody and I'll pass it around. You have a goal in the middle, and you want to get to your goal. The outer circle is where you are. You're trying to get to your goal, but you can't get to it. There's 7 things that will either help you get to your goal or keep you from getting to your goal. So I want to go through these 7 things. I think we have enough copies for everyone. I just want to hand this out, and then this way I made some room which you could write down. There's some questions over there. Yaakov is going to give this out. Could you give it out?
Oh, Yaakov.
So you overcame your ADD by not taking medicine.
Yeah, that's a long time, but not taking medicine, and you have to use it to your advantage.
But do you know how many of your kids have it as well? Because it is genetic.
Yeah, and you know what? And I had there's one school that said that he has to be taking medicine, and me and my wife and others felt that there's it's a long conversation, but who said a kid has to be stuck by the desk in the classroom, and the only way for that to work is to take medicine? Maybe he could be making cars or something else that you could be doing. So let's start this topic. So the first one is that there's you have some more?
But you seem to use your middle name in lots of your Naki Radio stories.
Just one, I think. I think that's just one.
There was another one with Camp that you used.
Oh, very good. Yeah. So there's a 12-year-old boy, and he's in an airport. He's traveling by himself. He's by gate 29, and he's on the phone with his mother. And as he's talking on the phone, he's walking around. He doesn't realize it. He goes onto a moving walkway. And he's just standing there, but the walkway is taking him. It's taking him, and he doesn't realize where he's going. After 15 minutes, he hangs up the phone. He says, Kim, I gotta go. I gotta board my plane. It's 10:15. He looks up. Oh my goodness. Gate 5 is next to me. He realized what happened, that he went on the walkway. So he starts running to gate 29. He gets there. Sorry, gate is closed. He missed his flight. He didn't realize he's on the walkway. And that's the first thing, is that time constantly moves. Time is that moving walkway, and time is constantly taking us to a place. It's either taking us to our destination. If you're using time, you could get to your destination, or time is taking you away from your destination. And that if you're not focused on time, time is going to take you away, because time is moving. So I realized very much that at nighttime is a time that I wasn't so focused at nighttime. You finish your whole day, and at nighttime, I'm not so focused. So time is taking you away if you don't use your time wisely. And I would use my time at nights. I want to chill. I want to relax. I want to maybe snack a little bit, watch some videos, and it'll be 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then finally I'll fall asleep by the table, and then I'll get into bed, and then I start my next day. My next day the day is ahead of me. I'm catching up to the day. Days ahead of me, and I feel just not fully focused on the day. And it's a continuous cycle, because then that night I say, how could I go to sleep yet? I didn't accomplish much today. So I have to stay up late tonight, and then it starts the next day again. Is everybody following this? So what I realized in my life, and in all these areas, I think there's one area that everyone knows. I can't point out for each person, but everyone has one area that develop that area, and that will get you to the next level. Anywhere where you want to get to, all the gains, and that's why I said double your income. Baruch Hashem, over the last few years, I was able to double almost every year just by working on things in myself, not marketing and not calling people, just things with inside of me, breaking or being in control of certain areas. And this thing with time, what I started doing, it took me years, but I said, 1 second, at nights, I'm so unfocused, and it's taking me further from my goal, because at nights, I'm wasting time, and then the next day, I start off backwards. I'm starting by gate 5. So what I do now is, I go to sleep literally 9:30 every night. I go to sleep 9:30, and I wake up between 3:30 and 4:30 in the morning, and at 4:30, I'm extremely focused. I'm not in the mood of snacking at all at 4:30, and I'm just ready to whatever the day brings on. And what I do is I actually, when I heard that Obama, when he was president, I heard that he works out for 2 hours in the morning. He does exercise. And I was thinking, how does he have 2 hours to do exercise? I'm running, bringing my kids to carpool, and I barely have any time for anything. How does he have 2 hours? But I realized just the opposite. When you exercise for 2 hours, now you're ready. You're ready to call a president of another country, and their phone call that you'll make right now in 2 minutes, I need those hostages released right now, as opposed to someone else who is feeling more weaker. Hi, is it okay if maybe you're able to accomplish so much more if you work at those 2 hours. So I do exercise every morning, and I was thinking the moving walkway. Right? We said you could take it to your destination. Imagine you can make the walkway go twice as fast. You can make the walkway go double the speed. So now you can get to your destination so much quicker. So when you're in the right frame of mind, and when I work out in the mornings and then the day starts, or if it's snowing outside, I'm ready for the day. I'm ready. My kids are crying, but I feel ready. I'm not waking up late and time is ahead of me. I'm being ahead of time. Does that make sense? Yeah.
4:30 is in the morning when you wake up?
Yeah.
Okay, and you exercise until from what time to what time?
I exercise generally. I'll go like 5 o'clock, and I'll come. It depends on Vesican. I try that on Vesican every morning. So it took me years to get to this, but let's say now from 5 to 6:30, and then 6:30 I'll do Vesican, then I'll learn afterwards, after Vesican. So I realized also that certain things like news for me, I love knowing what's going on, but I realized news is just, it's not getting me to my destinations. It's just making me feel negative feelings, just seeing different things, what people are doing. And it's good for Yidden to know the pain of other Jews, but who said we have to like put our nose like deep inside every single thing that's going on? And I know the owners of a lot of news sites, and I know that we all know this is what they have to do to get our eyes to be on the website to show all these things. So why do I have to look at that? That's not helping me get to my goals. So I cut out a lot of these things, like just looking at the news could be hours and hours wasted. And social media, I stopped a while ago. All these things, I realized it's not using my time. A wealthy person is someone that uses all of his time to get to his goal. We have so much time. If we use every single moment of that time to get to a goal, you'll make any goal that you make. Okay, that's the first thing. So I have a question, just when is your most tired time of the day? Because even your most tired time, I mean, my Rabbi Yitzchak Berkowitz would say that his most tired time is when he has meetings with people. Like, okay, he can't focus right now, maybe learning something new, but he'll still use his downtime. Like if you could cut out downtime, because downtime many times, when you're resting on the couch and now you want to wake up, it'll take you twice as long to wake up now if you have that downtime. Okay. Number two, the thing that either will take you towards your goal or you away from your goal, food. That's a huge topic because we need food. Food gives us energy, but food could destroy us. And especially today, especially where I live. I don't know what's going on in Atlanta, but where I live, food is like everywhere. People are coming to shul for food. I mean, everything is food. And for me, as a kid, I would eat all the time out in restaurants, and I love food. But as I got married and my wife would bang it into me how Coke is full of sugar and sugar is not good for you. And it took me years until the point that I was able to cut it all out. And I'll tell you, when I was a Rabbi in 5th grade in Baltimore, and slowly I started eating healthy. So I would eat, let's say, whole wheat bread in the morning, and then I came home from school, and it was dealing with 5th graders and disciplining them. It was a lot. I come home 2 o'clock, and I'm a little wiped out, and I see my wife's chocolate cake on the counter, so I said just one piece of chocolate cake. Take one piece of chocolate cake and just one more, because that was very good. And after 2 pieces, just one more. Took 3, and then a little bit caramelized popcorn and a couple other things, and boom, the cake beat me up. I was out. I couldn't get up from the couch. The cake just knocked me out. And that's a very low feeling when you have a fight with the cake and the cake is stronger than you. It's a low feeling. So all these topics, by the way, are things that when you are in control of them, you feel like a winner. No one has to know. If you're in control of time, and like my best times are when I have like one meeting from the next to the next. I don't even have time to breathe. You feel like a millionaire. You're just using every time. Food is the same way. If you're in control over food, you feel like you feel great that you're in control of it. It's a very low feeling if food knocks you out. Now, besides being unhealthy, and if it's unhealthy, there's many other things that come along with it. I believe, and I tell my kids also that we give them candy and stuff like that. I mean, I work with so many kids. I give all the kids candy because that's what they want. But I think there's something much more than even the health that's involved in sugar and the food we eat. You see, when you wake up in the morning, we're all seekers. We all want something. And you want to have a great day. You want to have a good feeling today. Your good feeling could be that chocolate cake. And you could have that chocolate cake and, I'm good. That was great. That was an awesome coffee with good sugar. I'm good. the rest of the day whatever I do today, I'm good. That's sad. You could, if you cut out that excitement, you're gonna find another excitement because you're not gonna sit down today, just boring day. You're gonna find something to excite you, and that's gonna be replaced by something else. Whether it's making a big business deal or finding a new opportunity, something is gonna replace that. And that's why, like, we had a birthday party in the house the other day, and my daughter made chocolate cake. It's a big thing, chocolate cake. And me and my wife weren't eating the chocolate cake. And again, I'm not trying to impress anyone with this. It took me years to overcome it. I really want to share like the benefits from it. Just get that clear. So my kids are like, oh, I'm so sorry that you can't eat it. I said, no, I could eat it. I love chocolate cake, but I'm so free right now. I don't need it. I don't need that chocolate cake. I could come into a room and it's not talking my language. It's not winking at me. I don't feel tied down to it. And that's why, like, you know, many times in shul, like, I'm not saying it's bad, but we could come down to learn Gemara with, let's say, a soda. It's taking away the excitement of the Gemara. The Gemara should be the soda. Happens to be that there was a great rabbi, he died recently, and he was learning Kitzos, very deep sefer, with a Coke. And somebody asked him, is that how you learn a Kitzos, with a Coke? He said, no, that's how I drink a Coke, with a Kitzos. The opposite, I'm saying. Meaning he wanted to drink a Coke, why just sit down and drink a Coke, use a sefer?
Coca-Cola, you have to learn soda with the soda, right?
You have to what?
Soda, 1 second, soda.
I hear. So the idea is that if let the learning is sweet like honey, if you're sitting down with something that's sweet like sugar, are you going to feel that sweetness of the Torah is going to be drowned out by that sweetness? It may take some time if you don't have the soda to get into it, but just it's a thought that the Torah should be the sweetness. We had a trip in shul, and in my shul also, you know, everything is involved. Food is a big thing that gets people through the door, but it's something that if we're in control over, it's the express train to get to where you have to get to. So there's a kid we had a snow tubing trip for the youth, and there was a kid that 13 years old, and he didn't come on to the trip. And after the trip, I asked him where he was. He said that he had something to eat before the trip. He ate a lot, and he was out. He had stomach problems, and he missed the trip. And I was like, dude, it's so sad. It's the lowest feeling that I couldn't go on the trip that I was looking for 2 months because I wasn't in control of the food that goes into me. So that's something that's huge. Once you're in control of that will take you to the next level. Okay, that's number 2. The third thing is money. And money is also, it's a pull that pulls us in directions to spend certain amount of money. And there was once a cat that's sitting down in therapy. He was sitting down by his therapist, and the therapist said, what's the problem? He said, you know what, the whole day I'm eating wheat. I don't really want to eat wheat. That's not my thing. I'd rather do something else. And the therapist said, well, what do you rather do? He said, honestly, I would love to catch mice. That's what I really love to do. So the therapist said, first of all, are you good at catching mice? And the cat's eyes open wide. He's like, are you kidding? When I was young, I would catch like 3 mice at once and get them in a second. I was the best in my class. So the therapist said, well, that's what you should be doing. You should be catching mice. He said, how could I do that? Like, first of all, there's so many people catching mice. There's so many people doing that. There's so many cats catching mice. Also, how am I going to leave gathering wheat, eating wheat to catch mice? It may take some time till I leave. What am I going to eat? And the therapist said, no, you don't understand. If that's your focus on catching mice, once you commit to it and that's your focus, you'll find the mice. There's plenty of mice to go around. You'll find the mice and you'll get it. So it's just a muscle for us. The Chavis Havava says that everyone has a skill that they're very good at, that they're good at and they love doing. And that's how you should be supporting yourself. That's how you should be making money, by doing that skill. And Hashem wants us to be giving to society. It says, Barin of Fashres Rabbis, Hashem created many people, v'chesroinon, there are deficiencies, to make sure everybody lives. So Hashem wants us to be doing that skill and making money from that skill. And that's why, like, also to take freebies and stuff like that is something that the Torah doesn't look great upon. It says those that hate gifts shall live, because Hashem wants us to be giving, not to taking. So the money area, when you're in control of the money, like your finances, if you're being pulled to buy things that you don't necessarily need or stuff like that, that's something also that's going to make us feel empty, feel very low. But if you're in control of your finances and in control of what's going in, what's coming out, the truth is, like, when I was out of Kollel, I went straight from Israel to California. I got a job straight from like Sanhedrin Merchevet to California and doing kiruv. And my first car that I got once I was in America, I decided, let's get a brand new caravan, brand new minivan. And because that's nice, it's a nice minivan, we'll get a brand new minivan. It was expensive, but I was paying for it as I was working with my kiruv. And after a year, I stopped doing kiruv in California, and now I had no money to pay for my minivan. But how can I not have that minivan? Everyone knows I have this minivan, and it's brand new, it's fancy. My kids will like it, but I didn't have the money to pay for it. And slowly, like, I was going into more debt and more debt for not having the money to pay for it, until the point, like, I was getting letters every month, like, you're not paying your bill, you're not paying your bill. And then it happened. One day, it was Purim, and I wake up, and I'm ready to go to my car to go to shul, and the van's not there. They took it away from me. And it was hard. I thanked Hashem that I was on Purim. Out of all days, it was Purim that Hashem confiscated my car. It's a nice joke, but it was gone. The car was gone, and it took me to make a shift in my life. I can't afford that car. Yes, it looks nice and it impresses people, but I can't afford it. And it was then that I decided, you know something? I got a $3,000 minivan that was like beat up and totally the opposite. But now inside, I felt like a winner because it's the right thing. This is what I could afford right now, the $3,000 minivan, not the $30,000 minivan. And inside, maybe outside everyone's laughing at me, but inside I knew I was the winner because that's what I'm holding right now. And when you're in control of that area, you're not being pulled to do things that I don't necessarily have the money for, then you feel like a winner inside, and eventually it will show up on the outside of your life. Because people that have things that they can't really afford, it's not going to last. It can't last long, and eventually they'll cave in. But if you start from inside out, and you start building steps, and I could afford this, and now I could do a little more, and a little more. And that's why, like, debts is something that I learned also, to stay away from debts. If you need to borrow money just to pay up some things, but that shouldn't be a long-term thing to borrow money, and also to take freebies. And I believe, maybe people are arguing this, but we have in our area, like, a lot of people going around collecting money from Eretz Yisrael. Do they have this here also? And I truly believe that we're not really helping them so much, because what are they going to do for the next 30 years? They're going to come around collecting. You know how hard and embarrassing it is to come around collecting, and there are kids that are going to do that, also go around collecting. I think Hashem really wants them to use their skill to give to other people, and each guy, I'm sure, has a valuable skill that he could give out, and how much more greater does that feel if they could give something to other people and get money in return for that? That will feel like $1 million. So that's my mission, to try to help that somehow, to try to get them to get, and it's the same work. To go to America, to travel, leave your family, is hard work. If we could teach them, use your skill and make money for that, they'll feel like a millionaire. Okay, that's third topic. So far we have time, using the time wisely. Food, using food to get to your goal. Money, don't let money pull you in 10 directions. Be in total control of your money. Fourth topic, are we good? So far everybody's good? Fourth topic is social pressure. And there was an elevator study that they had 4 actors in an elevator, and they were all told to look at the back of the elevator. And they had one guy comes into an elevator, regular guy, comes up, and all of a sudden he sees everyone facing the back of the elevator. Slowly he just turns around and faces the back of the elevator. And then all the actors on the third floor face the right side, and this guy, they have it all documented on camera. It's called the elevator study. Slowly he turns around to face the right side for no reason. And then they turn around, he turns around. It's like he's a puppet. He's just attached to them. And the truth is, that's all of us. We're all social creatures, and we're so influenced by our surroundings. And we become very similar to the people around us. And that's another area that makes us feel very low. If you're just following everyone because everyone is doing it, it's not going to make you feel like a winner inside. Use it to your advantage. Surround yourself by high achievers, people that are going to the top, people that are not okay with status quo. Make sure you're surrounded by those people. Don't be surrounded by people that are constantly belittling you or questioning you or who needs that, who needs to grow. Be surrounded by high achievers and slowly use that social pressure to get to your goal. Use it to your advantage. Whether we like it or not, we're influenced by society, so use it to your advantage. Make sure you're surrounded by people that will take you towards your goal and not further away from your goal. Okay, that's that, social pressure. Next one is a huge one. It's called the inner critic. I was once in a group in Scheller, literally like a table around this, and everyone was doing an assignment. We were working on a certain project, and all of a sudden, somebody screams out. It was quiet, and someone says, "Oh, Scheller is a Kiruv guru." And I'm like, what in the world does guru mean? But I was too embarrassed to ask anybody, and everybody heard him, and everyone's quiet, and I'm thinking, did he just embarrass me, or did he compliment me? I had no idea, and I'm just looking at everyone's expression, but like everyone was busy doing it. They all heard it, but they're too busy doing their assignment. Like, did he just embarrass me in front of her? Did he compliment me? I had no idea. And I said, I couldn't just leave. I said, as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to go to the dictionary and find out what just happened. And it was like 10 minutes later, I ran out and I'm flipping through the dictionary. Guru, G-U, G-U-R. And as I'm flipping the pages, I said, who cares? Who cares what this person said about? Does that define who I am? Whether it's good or bad, like, who cares? That's his opinion. That doesn't change who I am. And that's when it hit me. Like, it doesn't make a difference what people say. It matters what's inside of us. We know if we're doing the right thing. You see, if you get a compliment on something, we know inside if we're following these areas. So a compliment shouldn't make a difference in any area because you know what you're doing. And by the way, when you do these areas, you get the most respect from the people around you, from your kids. Your kids know it when you're constantly growing in these areas. So number 5 is the Kiruv guru, the inner critic. Are you constantly looking? We all have that inside of us, always looking perhaps at the negative or the positive. I can't do it. It's too hard for me. Those words, according to Rabbi Noah Weinberg, is Avodah Zarah. I can't do it. It's too hard for me. We all have that inner critic inside of us, but use that inner critic to your advantage. I'm the best. I'm the most powerful. I could do anything I put my mind to. Use that inner critic to propel you, not to hold you back from doing things. The inner critic. Use it for your advantage. Okay, we have 2 more. I don't want to take up too much time. So I just want to do number 6 with a cute mashal. I shared it at the school today. Very cute mashal that there was this boy that was very sad, and he was always sad that he never has anything. He never gets things. He never wins the raffles. Never gets prizes. So he called his father and said, "You know what? Go to the rabbi of the shul. Maybe the rabbi of the shul will help you." So this boy, Yankee, goes to the rabbi of the shul, and the rabbi says, "You know something? I'm going to tell you something unconventional. There's a angel of luck called the Sar HaMazel deep in the forest. Maybe he can help turn your mazel around."
Is that a boy or a princess?
Oh, no, this is a boy. Yeah. changed.
This is the boy.
Yeah, this is the boy, the version. He was listening. So he goes to the rabbi, and the rabbi says, I'll tell you where the angel of luck is, and he could turn your mazel around. So he says, okay, deal, I'm ready for anything. So he shows him exactly where in the forest is this angel of luck, and he starts going into the forest. But as he's walking, he trips over something, looks down, it's a lion. But the lion is very sick on the floor, and the lion says, excuse me, are you going to the Sar HaMazel? He says, yes. He says, could you please ask the Sar HaMazel, why am I so weak? What do I need to do to make myself stronger? So Yankee says, I'm sorry, I got my own things to figure out. I can't, goodbye. He walks off, and as he walks, he trips over roots on the ground. He looks up, coconut falls right down. It's a coconut tree. And the coconut tree starts talking and says, excuse me, are you going to the Sar HaMazel? He says, I am. Coconut tree says, please, my tree is so weak. Fruits are falling down. Roots are not taking a hold in the ground. Please ask him, what do I need to get stronger? Yankee says, I'm sorry. I really would love to help you, but I got my own issues. Sorry. Continues walking, and he sees a boy crying, a prince crying. And the prince says, are you going to the Sar HaMazel? He says, yes. The prince says, my father, the king, kicked me out of the house. I don't know why. Could you please find out what's the issue? What's going on? Yankee says, I would love to help you, but I got my own issues to work out. He gets to the Sar HaMazel. Sar HaMazel says, it looks like you have great mazel, great luck, but there's a princess, a lion, and a coconut tree, and he tells them what they have to do. So Yankee says, what is the world? Does that help me? And now he walks off more depressed than before. He passes by the prince, and the prince says, you speak to the Sar HaMazel? He says, yes. And the prince says, so what did he say? So he says, the Sar HaMazel said that your father is very angry that you hang around bad friends that have a bad influence on you. If you just have a good friend, the king will be more than happy to help him come back into the palace. He'll share everything that he has in the palace with him. And the prince said, wow, that makes so much sense. You know something? You look like a great boy, he says to Yankee. Would you want to be my friend? Come back to the palace with me, and then I'll share with you everything that my father has. And Yankee says, I would love to help you. I got my own issues. I got to figure this out. I got to figure out why I'm always sad, why I don't have good luck. And he continues walking, passes by the coconut tree, who asks him, did you see the Sar HaMazel? He says, yes. And he says, the Sar HaMazel said that you have a treasure buried beneath your tree, and your roots cannot take hold in the ground. And that's why your tree is so weak. Coconut tree says, that makes so much sense. And he says, you know something? You take the treasure, and I'll be healthy. It's a win-win. Yankee says, I'd love to help you. I can't deal with it. I got to figure out my own issues. So he walks past by the lion, and the lion says, did you speak to him? And he says, yeah. He said, the Sar HaMazel said that you have to find someone that has good luck and thinks they have bad luck and eat him. That will be your cure. So the lion opens up his mouth wide to eat Yankee, and Yankee realizes he runs for his life. And it hit him, not the coconut, but the message that the rabbi was telling him, that when you're so focused on yourself, life is terrible. When you're focused on helping other people, everything changes. And that's something that is if there's one message that I try to drill into the kids, life is only exciting when it's for other people. And as a parent, you know, you're willing to do 10 times more for someone else than you do for yourself. For your own birthday, you're not going to go crazy and do so many things, but for your kid's birthday, you do anything for. When we look out for other people, life takes on a new meaning. And that's when I believe Hashem delivers things that you really would dream for, because you're helping other people. Things just happen when it's just for me. Hashem says you could deal without it. You don't need it. But when it's for other people, that's when you take the express train to where you need to get to. Is that good? Yeah. And the last thing is, the last topic. So once again, just a quick review. It's time, using time wisely. And all these things are constant review. Like, I'm not perfect nearly in these. And that's why I want to work on it, because time it's constantly. You have to constantly focus. And of course, I'm tired so many times. Food is a constant struggle, but it's something to know. And I think everyone should just think of the one thing that you knock out, and that's going to double your income. Because in my life, like once I cut out sugar in my life and only healthy, like I think that was a big reason why I was able to get a bigger income, because now I'm more focused. I'm not thinking about the donuts when I'm at work. I'm more focused. Money, being in control of it, getting out of debt. And that's why I said, by the way, having more energy, these things will give you 10 times more energy when you're in control of these areas. And I said relationships also, because many times we blame other people. And when we're upset at our kids, this is my Rabbi would say this, but I see this obviously, it's something that you're not happy with in yourself. And your kids are bringing that out. They remind you of what you're not winning at, and will get upset at them. But it really is us. And anytime you get upset at almost anyone, many times it really boils down to yourself. So the final thing is, I'll just end this, I'll share it with a story as well. Just an interesting story. When I was a 5th grade Rebbe in TA, I was, the principal wanted everyone to be exactly on time. 8:45, for me it was a little hard in the morning, but one day it's 8:37, and I see it took at least 10 minutes to get to school. So I went as fast as I could, but then I hear a scary sound in the car. Ding, low on gas. I said, oh no. For the past 2 days, I kept saying, I'll fill up tonight. But here I am on the road, and I figured if I run out of gas right here, I'm going to come 10 o'clock to school, and then I'm going to be fired maybe. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go for gas for 1 minute, and then back on the road. So I pulled to the gas station, and my son, not this one, who was with me, who was 6 years old at the time, said, oh, Daddy, you remember you said next time we go for gas, I could fill it up? I said, oh, come on, not now. He said, but you said. And that's something that's very important with kids. Like you said, like, yeah, you got to deliver. I said, okay, just 1 minute. So he takes it, puts the nozzle in the car, and I said, okay, 59, 30, 25, 25, 3, 2, 1, take it out. He took it out, but I never told him to let go of the trigger. And he sprayed me from head to toe with gasoline. And I was wearing a coat. I was soaked. I took some paper towels. I wiped my face as good as I could. And I get back in the car. I race to school. Just that day, the principal was a little late. He had a bris. I run straight to the teacher's lounge. I take some soap. I give myself a little shower in the sink. And then I start going to my classroom. And I see Rabbeim and teachers walking up and down the hallway. There's a gas leak somewhere. There's a gas leak. Anybody know where it's coming from? I said, what a coincidence. Like, I got sprayed in gas today. There's a gas leak in school. And I said, it's probably me. And I didn't want them to call the whole fire department and something, because one Rebbe smelling up the... So I went to one Rebbe and I said, oh, by the way, like, I got sprayed this morning. He got, oh, no. This is a serious gas leak somewhere. We're going to find this. Anybody know? So I just raced off to class. I took off my coat, hid it in the closet. I said, okay, boys, let's start davening. Some of the boys were like, I said, oh, construction over there. Shut the window. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ma toivu. What? We start davening. 10 minutes later, the door opens, and there he is. It's the principal. And he walks over to me. He says, you gotta go. The whole building, 4 floors, it smells. Gotta go home. Gotta take a shower. You and your son, switch, gotta go. And I felt like I was back in 3rd grade, put my knapsack on, and all the boys in the class are just like staring, like, what is going on?
Did you get a son?
He said, I'm staying in the class. He said, I'm gonna stay in the class, and you go. So I saw he was serious. I had to go. I just left. I did what I had to do. I came back, and he was still in my class. He says, okay. So I took out my chumash. I'm like, okay, boys, let's... And they're all just staring at me. They said, what just happened? And I said, I'll tell you what just happened. I said that I did something private with my son that no one has to know. Just 1 minute, 2 minutes, no one has to know about it. But the whole school found out about it because they smelled it. Something smelled, and the whole school found out about it. And I said that it's powerful. Our lives are the same exact way. When you do something in the privacy of your own home that no one in the world knows about, you do something that's no good again, and again, it will get out. People will realize it. No one has saw you on video cameras. People will know. But the opposite is true. When you do great things in the privacy of your own home, when you're tznius in the privacy of your own home, when the things you're working on, no one in the world knows about besides you and Hashem, that gets out. That gets out, and people will find out about it. People will smell it. So that's the seventh thing, like between us and ourselves, like our passion. Where's our passion? Are we tznius? And I believe Yosef HaTzadik, where did he become king? Not after he interpreted dreams. I believe he became king in the privacy of his master's house. When his wife grabbed his coat and he said, I'm out of here. Boom, at that second, he became a king. He was king over himself. The world found out about it after he interpreted the dreams. That's when it became clear to everyone. But he became king in the privacy of his own home. So that's the final thing. In our own private lives, are we in full control over where our minds are? Are we in line with what Hashem wants? Is our passion in the right areas? And these things, in Mitzvah Hashem, will help you feel like a king, a winner in your own lives. And when you work on these things, you'll show up to places feeling like a winner because you know you are, and you don't have to tell a single person. You could smile at yourself in the mirror and I'm winning at it. I'm winning in the game, and then it'll show up in the rest of your life. That's what I wanted to share.